Ethan Quant here.
Derek Smith Jr.
Ewurabena Appiah,
Nathaniel Butler. To talk about their secrets to success.
You're watching Linked Up on LinkedIn.
Linked Up on LinkedIn.
Linked Up on LinkedIn.
Linked Up on LinkedIn.
Welcome to another episode of Linked Up via LinkedIn. And we're super excited to bring our guest on today. And, you have to take your time to get the pronunciation right. So here I go. Today on the show, we have Ewurabena Appiah. Did I get it?
That was good.
Look at me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Round of applause for that.
Appreciate
People
it.
very rarely get it right the first time.
Do they?
I'm impressed. Color me impressed.
There we go. Ewurabena is, or Robs for short, as we found out on social media, is partner specialist at Cloud Carib Limited. She's a marketing pro and digital content creator. Ewurabena, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and it's good to have you. We want to highlight women this month, in the month of International Women's Month, and I think International Women's Day is the 8th, is it?
That's
right. That's right. And so we're super excited to have you on. I stumbled on Rab's social media and really, kind of fell in love with her personality, her vibrance, her love for fashion, all things.
All the things.
All the things.
I appreciate all of the appreciation of Rabs. I do.
Yes, and so we wanted to bring her on because one thing I like about her. Anytime I see someone that listen is okay on camera, is okay not only being on camera but being themselves on camera. They two different things entirely. I'm very impressed with that, and so and then I was interested to kind of follow her journey as she is now in the corporate world. I almost said back because I don't have the full backstory, but in the corporate world now and doing some things there as well. So. Ewurabena, why don't we talk about, let's maybe spend a minute or two talking about your backstory. Coming out of school, where did life take you to now? In 2 minutes.
I started as a cub reporter at Cool 96 in Freeport, right out of college. I was a radio reporter, an anchor, and I was a beat reporter. So I went to all of the assignments. I wrote all the stories. I would anchor, I audio edit, like I do all of that. And when I just got burnt out in news. And so I left news for a while and I started a little writing consultancy firm called Media Scribble. And I have been writing for a lot of people. Some of the words of your favorite politicians have been penned by me.
There we go.
Yeah, so I sort of found my footing in that way. Then I decided, okay, I want to be a digital content creator, and I was doing that for a while. I'm still doing that. Give
us an approximation of years when we go through this journey.
When I started doing news, it was 2015, May of 2015.
Okay.
And I have been in and out of news because what happens is I get burnt out and then I miss it. Mm-hmm. And then I run back to it because I'm like, I feel out of the loop. I'm used to knowing things before they,
Right.
And so I would go back and I would leave. I would go back and I would leave. And that was since 2015. When I started Media Scribble, I want to say it was September of 2017. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think September or October of 2017 is when I really started taking it seriously because I'd been writing, freelance. People would call me to write press releases, things like that, but I really turned it into a business. In 2017. And, like I said, we've been doing work for people, freelance work. I've worked with ad agencies. They contract me to write things, scripts, commercials, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of how I made my living. Up until September of last year, when I joined the Cloud Carib team. Okay.
So let's talk about social media for a moment.
Okay.
And let's talk about it from a individual perspective. So me as an individual brand that's in the professional arena, but I see the benefit of building social privately, even though I might be a private person and don't have a particular taste for it naturally. And my motivation to maybe do that, and then let's switch to corporate. Let's start with a personality first, an individual.
Well, I always tell people the easiest way to attract a following of any kind is to be yourself at all times. You literally, people respond to you, people like you know what I mean? And so if you are not being yourself, the public can tell, and they will likely call you out on that. For me, I always tell people I am who I am, no matter what room you put me in. Yeah. You know, I present a certain way in public because, you know, we in public, we out in the world, you gotta be decent. But who I am does not change. And I think that is what people respond to. And so even when you are thinking about building a digital presence or a social media presence for yourself, you can't go into it thinking, I want to emulate what someone else is doing. You should always start with, who am I? Why do I like me? And why should other people like me?
Yeah. Good. Okay. And, you know, I keep feeling this way about, you know, I'm in real estate, and a number of social media personalities believe that social media and the attention garnered on social media is like real estate. And you can, if you develop a huge enough following, monetize that following just like real estate, right? And so our parents, more so than our generation, bought real estate in Carmichael for $5,000, right? And, you know, I'm about to produce a video where that same lot that they bought for $5,000 sold to Wendy's maybe about 4 or 5 years ago for $1 million.
Wow.
I think social media has similar correlation. Do you agree? Tell me why.
I do agree with that to a certain extent, because you get out of social media what you put into it, right? I think people forget, especially when they are trying to become a brand, so to speak, online, they forget that social media is supposed to be social. You know, it becomes like hyper-focused on the business. And yes, the business of social media is very important. But before you can get to the business, you have to get to the people, and that engagement, you need that. And so you can't just look at it from the perspective of, I'm investing this right here because I want this, you know what I mean? And it's definitely, and it depending on what kind of brand you are building, it takes time. You know, it's not like you cut the check of $5,000 today, you own the land. No, it takes time. People, it takes a process of building trust with people. You need to establish yourself as some kind of expert on a matter, so people come to you and they feel like they want, because people like head wraps are my thing. I get questions every single day from women I know and don't know. If I'm in a grocery store, if I am online, whatever it is, they'll be like, so how you tie that? Like you have to show me, you know what I mean? Right. So like, and that's something that women apparently want to see, because we don't feel like doing our hair all the time. So exactly. So you have to really decide what it is you feel you can offer people, and work on that. Work on engaging people on the things they want to hear from you. Right.
Yeah. Before my next question, and I hate when I do this because I usually lose my trend. But let's talk about ISO TV Productions. I see this title here. Tell me a little bit about it.
So over the course of quarantine and lockdown and all the drama, I had gotten sick and tired of everything on Netflix, the Hulu, the Amazon. I was over it. I was like, I don't want to watch any of this stuff. And I realized in a conversation with my mom, actually, this don't like, the reason I'm not connected is because they don't look, sound, they don't live like me. So that was the thing that was missing for me specifically. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we had like a streaming service or a Netflix equivalent type thing that features Bahamian people doing all the things we see Black folk everywhere else in the world doing, like falling in love, like, you know, making money, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But with a Bahamian accent, with a Bahamian face. Like that might be somebody you actually went to school with and be like, oh, that's what I wanted to do. And so Isolation, my mama actually named the company. Shout out to my mommy. She named the company Isolation. She said, because you are currently in isolation. So you she said, use this time to figure out exactly what it is you want to do. And so Isolation Television, well, ISO TV Productions, ISO Productions is basically a platform where shows that I create in my mind, you know, are eventually executed. I'm trying as much as I can to build a profile of content that people are actually interested in watching.
Yes.
I think, and it's all being done locally, using Bahamian artists, Bahamian people, you know, Bahamian cameramen, editors. So that's really important to me because I want to be able to keep the creative community going in whatever way I can. And that's an opportunity for me to do that. And hopefully my dream is that Isolation will become a platform for other creatives to channel their content, send it out, just have it distributed. And even if you have like ideas for a show, you know, that's the kind of stuff I want, but I want it to be for us, by us, like, you know.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. So my question was going to be, I got it. I didn't lose it. Is about contextual communication. And contextual communication, when I say that, I'm talking about drafting a message specific to the platform you're posting on. And so generally speaking, companies, I think more often than individuals, if I have a graphic, that graphic could be, you know, we got a house in you know, Stapleton for sale. I'm going to use the same graphic and same caption on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Matter of fact, I might even be ambitious and put that same thing on TikTok. Tell me, why should corporate companies develop messaging specific to the platform? And tell me if you agree with that.
So this is the thing. Different people live on different platforms. You know, Facebook is very much for the settled. You know, that's where my mama lives. That's where my aunties live. They don't necessarily live on Instagram. My friends, people in my peer group and younger live on Instagram. People younger than my peer group live on TikTok. You know what I mean? And so saying the exact same thing and showing the exact same thing to that wide an audience when you are dealing with completely different demographics, because the people who are on Facebook, they are on there to share memes, to talk to each other, like to connect. People who are on Instagram, they're also doing that, but in a very different way, because people share through their stories instead of like a timeline post. So there are all these different mechanisms that are happening all at once. And I know sometimes it can be difficult for companies and individuals alike to sort of figure out. But the stories, for example, give you a way to do it in real time. You know what I mean? People get to see more of you, where a timeline post will be a very curated, that isn't necessarily real. You know what I mean? And so as you maneuver through the use of each platform and you realize who is following you where, because you may have an audience who is settled and interested in buying a home in Stapleton on Facebook, and they will see that and they'll be like, oh, okay. But you may put that same post on Instagram and the people on Instagram will say, I can't afford this house now. Why look it?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so those are the sort of things that have to be considered when you are actually trying to attract an audience on social.
Awesome. Let's talk about how corporate companies, and maybe even the company that you're working with now, how corporate companies should communicate their message online, and take that in whichever direction you'd like.
So I think one of the key elements is understanding your company's voice, right? So in my personal branding, I find, and like, because I'm also a blogger, so people tell me all the time, they read my text in my voice. They hear it in their head, like I'm echoing that, you know what I mean? And so that's equally important for businesses. I think you need to know what your company's voice is. If you are a very serious company, you know, you can't be as playful as, say, for example, a cloud carrot can't be as playful as, say, what do you call them? The health and beauty body butter there's two different lanes, you know? And so you have to know what your company voice is and craft the messaging around that.
Yeah, makes sense. Should companies get more into video? How important is it for professionals who have ambitions? So this would be companies or individuals that have ambitions to communicate their message in video.
So if a picture is worth 1,000 words, video is king. You know, because people have very short attention spans. They are less like, unless they are already following you and you have created that environment of trust where they engage with you regardless, people are very, like, they don't want to read stuff. Like, even if sometimes you post a caption that is literally 2 sentences and people will ignore the caption and watch the video or look at the picture, you know? And so video really is king. There are so many, I think people get the idea that creating video or being a content creator at the video level can be difficult. And I'm not saying it's easy. It requires a certain level of commitment. For example, like on the weekends, I have to commit to filming my content. I have to get up early. I got to get dressed, put on a face, and then get in front of the camera and be, you know, who people expect. And so, but you actually have to like train yourself. The discipline has to be there. You have to want to do it, because if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to be there, it's going to show on camera. And again, like I say, you have to be yourself. People are drawn to authenticity, you know, whether it's intentional or not. If you are being your most authentic self, who is meant, your tribe will find you, basically. The people who are meant to follow you or engage with you will do it.
Good. So, I could go in. We got about 5 minutes, and I'm trying to determine which direction we go in. But for a professional, how do you recommend LinkedIn, and how important has LinkedIn been in your building your social media brand, developing connections? Yeah, that's the question.
I'll be honest. LinkedIn is very new territory for me.
Okay.
I've always had a LinkedIn profile. I was just never super active on my LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
I posted like maybe years ago when Media Scribble and everything started, but I have not until recently. And I can say that was probably not the best move for me. I should have been doing this a long time ago. But I think every social media platform, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, wherever it is, it's an opportunity for you to sell yourself, your business, whatever it is, right? And so, especially on LinkedIn, the audience on LinkedIn is very much business people, you know, people who are interested in actually networking and making connections that are going to propel them in their personal careers. And I think that's great for anyone who is really ambitious and looking to advance in their respective careers, because, you know, you make these connections, you don't always realize how important they are, but they pop up. Like the need for certain people pops up no matter what it is you're doing. And you're like, oh yes, I met so-and-so, I viewed his profile, he's now my connection on LinkedIn. I can say, hey, can you assist? Or, hey, I have an idea. You know what I mean? LinkedIn is, because there are business people on LinkedIn, you know, things like finding funding, things like getting advice on finding funding, especially for small business owners, that's really important. That's really something that I always hear from them, trying to fund their operations from their personal accounts. And I can testify because I sell TV. Ciao. I'm looking for ways to keep the company out of my bank account. You know what I mean? And so there are opportunities definitely on LinkedIn and opportunities on every social media platform that can assist you with doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good. Okay. So Ewurabena, it was so good to catch up with you. I love talking marketing. Have you ticked or talked yet? Either?
I am a TikTok lurker.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a lurker. So I go because the children are hilarious. Okay. They be doing stuff. And I'm like, I think I may have put up like 2 videos, but those were things that were already on my own social media. And I was like, well, I might as well, you know, I'm not an active TikToker. I'm very much a TikToker. Hopefully that'll change, but I haven't made that commitment just yet.
Totally get it. I got about 1 post on there, and my post is around old people on TikTok and how we look trying to make TikTok work.
Honestly, people, I find the old people on TikTok adorable. Like, you know,
I do as well.
They're adorable. They just be there, you know, ticking and talking. I'm like, okay, but that's not gonna be me.
Yeah. Well, social media is definitely an interesting time, and you know, it's amazing how you know the dynamics have changed. You know, to get into media, to produce video, you needed to have connections, you needed to have money, you needed to be on the end.
To have degrees.
Yeah, agreed. And so, yeah, and even still to a degree, our generation who have these big financial ambitions and business goals, we are still relying on, man, I want to get on Guardian Radio. I want to get my ad in the paper too.
Yes, traditional media.
And so,
so my comment on that, especially for millennials and Gen Zers and other people who are coming up, I think that is a holdover because you realize that it is generation ahead of you that currently holds the wealth. And the traditional media sources like your Guardian Radio, like your McKinney Media Group, like your Love 97s, they hold a certain amount of weight in the community where you are trying to access your wealth from. You know what I mean? So the 45 plus, the 50 plus people, that's where the money is. Those are the people who are in business. You know what I mean? Those are the people who own companies, who have high level positions in whatever organizations. And so in order for some millennials to get noticed, you have to put yourself where the people you are trying to attract live, which is in traditional media, which is in the news, which is on Guardian Radio. You know what I mean? And I think that is a gift and a curse, because you should, I feel like sometimes the 50 plus, you know, generation does not give the due respect. They don't respect the work that goes into, you know, the digital side of things. They feel like it has to be, or it is invalid.
Right.
And, it has to be a certain way or they invalidate it. And I think that's a dangerous position to take, especially at this time in the world where everything is moving digital. But I also think it's important for millennials and Gen Zers to understand how traditional media has worked, because in order to understand the evolution of media and the time span that we're living in, the time span we're going to be in, it is important to know how it started, how people responded, because human nature doesn't change. The things that attracted people to traditional media are some of the same things that attract them to digital media.
Absolutely.
So you have to sort of know where you've been to know where you're going. Yeah.
And so, Ewurabena, again, I thank you for joining us today. I wish you all the best in your new career path at Cloud Carib and ISO TV Productions and all that you do. I look forward to reading some of your content. I've been loving what you've been posting on LinkedIn. I too have taken my LinkedIn serious, hence this series called Linked Up. And so I know that we as ambitious people are leaving so much money on the table, not being more vocal with And so it was good, glad connecting with you. I hope to be able to connect physically sometime soon. And again, appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you've watched another episode of Linked Up on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us.
You've been watching Linked Up on LinkedIn.